Size, strength, discipline, these are the hallmarks of bodybuilding. Yet there's a darker side, a dangerous pursuit where ambition overshadows caution. Welcome to a world where men distort the very essence of physical transformation, challenging the norms of this grueling discipline. Today we delve into the extraordinary stories of Arlindo de Souza, Kirill Tereshin, Romario dos Santos Alves, and others. Bodybuilders who veered off the traditional path, charting a course driven by obsession and fraught with peril. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Number 1. Arlindo de Souza. Not one to be content with humdrum gym routines and chicken and amp, broccoli diets, Arlindo was all about the quick gains. So rather than bench pressing his way to greatness, he decided to boost his physical stature using Synthol, a bulbous decision that would transform him into a pop-eyed figure. For those unfamiliar, Synthol is an oil-based substance often injected by those who apparently think Mother Nature needs a little nudge in the bicep department. While Synthol may sound like a villainous version of spinach for fans of Popeye, it's far from a magical muscle enhancer. In fact, it can lead to some rather grim health concerns. In Arlindo's case, it turned his arms into bulbous lumps resembling two overinflated hot air balloons rather than finely sculpted arms. He admitted that the injection regimen brought colossal pain, but for him it was all part of the no pain, no gain ideology, a mantra that's in desperate need of a fine print disclaimer, not applicable on Synthol injections. A local celebrity in his baggy pants and king-sized inherent swagger, Arlindo relished the gasps and turned heads that his mammoth arms earned him. However, beneath the surface, his Synthol adventures had triggered a litany of issues, including kidney damage. In fact, things got so severe that doctors warned him he might need an arm amputation. And trust me, it's no laughing matter trying to swat a fly with a 29-inch phantom arm. Albeit the weight of this alarming prediction, our man Arlindo remained as unfazed as a sea cucumber in a meditative state. Throughout his journey, Arlindo has reportedly lost friends who succumbed to the addiction of similar artificial muscle boosters. A stark reminder that taking shortcuts seldom leads to glory, and in bodybuilding, certainly not to health. Number 2. Kirill Tereshin. Kirill, fueled by a paradoxical concoction of bravado and sheer wackiness, decided bicep curls and tricep dips were for mere mortals. And he chose the path of, let's just say, creative enhancement. His weapon of choice? Synthol oil, normally used by professional bodybuilders in moderation to balance out stubborn muscles refusing to grow proportionately. But Kirill, being the emphatic innovator, thought, why choose arms of flesh when we can have gloriously inflated silicone balloons? His biceps exploded in size, reaching a staggering 24 inches in circumference, a feat usually reserved for pythons or, in some cases, sequoia trunks. Did he stop there? Nah. Kirill had no intention of resting on his aberrant laurels. He moved on to his trapezius and shoulder muscles, transforming into a magnet for gasps, dropped jaws, and unbelieving gazes. He became a modern Quasimodo of bodybuilding, albeit with far more oil than the hunchback of Notre Dame ever dreamed of. Alongside his remarkable dedication, Kirill demonstrated an uncanny stick-to-itiveness rarely seen outside of a Looney Tunes cartoon or a lab rat on steroids. When his arms became red and started to sizzle rather than rushing to a hospital, Kirill decided to become his physician. He carried on jabbing, congesting his arms with more oil and blowing them up like festive, albeit somewhat pathological balloons. It might be tempting to dismiss Tereshin as a human cautionary tale, an embodiment of duncehood inclined to gulp down vials of vanity with extra shots of idiosyncrasy. But amidst the shock and cringe, there's a hidden message, a convoluted parable, if you'd please, a reminder that chiseled finesse isn't achieved via shortcuts or inflationary measures. It echoes the age-old line, slower, harder, and sweatier wins the race. Hang on, that's another tale. That's another. Number 3. Romario dos Santos Alves. Romario, originally from Caldas Novas in Brazil, was typical. Like any man who grows a pumpkin patch for a panoramic view of Halloween, he sought the elusive and often stubbornly elusive trophy, the intricately chiseled six-pack and tree-trunk thighs. But like a kid who ODs on cheese pizza dreams to the soundtrack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Romario's pursuit took a detour down Dystopia Avenue. The adventure began with Romario's introduction to Synthol, a lethal cocktail of oil, painkiller, and alcohol with a dubious claim to fame. If steroids were the bodybuilding industry's mischievous minx, Synthol was its red-eyed Terminator arm in arm with an ent from Munchkinland, weirdly monstrous and dangerously enticing. Romario injected this Johnny Bravo juice, hoping for instant Herculean gains. The results were Iron Man on steroids kind of spectacular. His arms bulked up to an astounding 25 inches in diameter. But like that one time you superglued a toy cap to your brother's forehead, there were consequences. You see, Romario's arms were so enlarged, they could give the Michelin Man an inferiority complex. And no, that's not necessarily a good thing if your day job isn't a tire mascot. Romario started feeling like his arms were rocks, and not in the aspirational Dwayne Johnson kind of way. Eventually, doctors informed him they might have to amputate. Whoa, talk about a high-stakes gym bet! After his arm-ballooning venture, Romario waved sayonara to Synthol and dedicated himself to educating others about the perils of such extreme body-altering methods. We might laugh at his pseudo-Hulk ordeal, but at the heart of it lies a cautionary tale about the insane lengths people go for vanity's sake. Number 4. Valdir Segato. Picture the Incredible Hulk, but drained of his green gamma pigment, marshmallows shoved in all the wrong places, and there we have our hero. Valdir, a construction worker from Brazil, didn't want to settle for the average beach body. Instead, he aimed for the look of a human mountain range, without hiking up a single trail. The journey ratings, like a roller coaster ride through the House of Mirrors at a bodybuilding fun fair. Sarketing, synthetic muscle enhancements, soared to new highs under Valdir's, let's call them innovations, and buckets of the substance known as Synthol raced out of pharmaceutical labs faster than mice on illegal steroids. Over 5 years, Valdir injected liters of Synthol into his biceps and traps. The shocking result saw his arms inflate from a modest 12 inches to a colossal, cartoonish 28 inches. Segato's ballooned proportions led to some unexpected challenges as well. Those epic biceps made it impossible for him to clap, a tragedy at his favorite samba concerts. Imagine a macho guy like him being forced to give a dainty princess wave just to acknowledge a great performance. His Synthol infatuation wasn't without its dangers. Doctors warned of risks, from infections and nerve damage to amputations and fatal strokes. But Segato brushed these warnings off as if they were not health perils but mere pieces of lint on his outrageously overshirted shoulders. In the end, the tale of Valdir Segato is a cautionary one, albeit ensconced in enormous comedy and ginormous biceps. His quest for a muscular physique turned eccentric to the point of the grotesque, all for the cheap seats in the freak show spotlight. But hey, every superhero has his origin story, even if it involves extreme measures, a syringe, and industrial quantities of Synthol. Number 5. Klaus Doring. You've probably seen those before and after fitness commercials where puny fellows magically metamorphose into muscled moguls, right? Well, if Klaus starred in one of those, the after image would require a panorama shot. His obsession with bodybuilding saw an evolution from an ordinary bloke who could easily be a stand-in on a Beatles cover into a gargantuan Goliath comparable to something out of a Marvel comic. Now, Klaus's idea of bulking up wasn't your regular protein shakes, daily push-ups, and an occasional serving of kale for good measure. Nope, Klaus's regimen included eating horse, yes, a whole horse, nay, I kid you not, arm wrestling freight trains, and rumored to swallow dumbbells if they were coated in enough Nutella. Despite his colossal gains, there's a downside to Klaus's peculiar protein pursuit. Doctors have raised alarms over his unusual methods, and there's a fair chance his insides are just one big muscular knot. Imagine the world's toughest ball of twine, but in human form. Furthermore, his scavenger hunts for scratch-and-sniff anabolic steroid stickers and illegal Mjolnir-shaped suppositories have kept him on the fitness world's naughty list. But Klaus doesn't let that stop him. He continues to be an immovable object in the bodybuilding world, an inexplicable specimen that fails to comprehend what too much means. A man with barbells for brains and muscles that would make a Greek god sign up for the nearest gym out of envy. His commitment is laudable, even if borderline ridiculous. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, put a thumbs up, and hit the bell.